So, hello and welcome. I'm going to present a single new feature of my Spinal Gator application. And the feature, now you can save all the illustrations made on the way of clustering so that you can use them for documentation afterwards. So you can document which gating strategy or gating decisions you made on the way to make a clustering. So I have already done something once and then saved the results. So I'm not going to pick 1,000 events from each individual file. So there are 230 files, so I'm not going to do that now. I did that already, and I did create one of my cluster objects, Spinal Gator. So that I have grayed out, and then I'm just going to load back in what I did before. Now what is new here is when I say show illustrations, I have given a path to a place where the illustrations are saved. So I'm saying the path is the path that the clustering object uses to get FCS files, and in there I make a folder called illustrations. So what happens if we open that? Then we're ready to do the clustering. And I'm going to do the clustering and not let you watch all the time while I'm doing it. I'll just get started like you know. I make a heat map, I select the size of the cluster, and I split, and I have a mistake. So I need to stop the... So real quick, I'm back. So I figured out what is the mistake. The mistake is I loaded the wrong clustering. So now I loaded a different one. And I think that now things are going to work. So let's see if I'm lucky. I split and I see, does it work? It works. That's good. Now I'm going to continue and split and split and split. And instead of letting you watch me while I do it, I will come back when I've done it and I'll show you illustrations of the steps I've made. So now I've constructed something like 70 clusters, and we see they are spread all over the place. Something I didn't do is to create a heat map, not a heat map, a UMap view. And I will do that in a second, but first I am about to save the clustering result, to save the labels of this sample of events from every file, and that will take some minutes, so I will let it work and come back when it's done. And here is the UMap. Something unfortunate happened, because we have so many clusters that they didn't fit on the screen. So I had to enlarge the image by pulling this corner, and now it still doesn't fit on the screen, but now the labels fit on the image. And well, this is a UMap. We see that we have split up some islands. Islands are unicolor, or yeah, at least the colors are not spread all over the place. So this looks like the clusters we made and the islands made by UMap coincide or correspond very well. So now we've done this. So we have saved the clustering we made of this sample of all the files, and then we're going back to the longitudinal piece where we start expanding the clusters or expanding the labels we given to only some events in each file to have labels on every event. And I'm going to run all of this, so it's going to take a while. It's kind of hard to count how many events there are. So there are 160 million events, so it's going to take a while. I'll let this run overnight and pause the video, and I'll come back one of the first thing in the morning. So I'll just start running everything here. And there's nothing to say, nothing to look at. This is going to churn for up to 6 hours. So I'll just let it work overnight. See you tomorrow, and then I'll post the video. Ah-da-da! Something I forgot. I forgot to show you all the illustrations I made. So here I have a folder with illustrations. And the last illustration we find is the UMAP. And here we're going to see that the labels don't fit on the illustration. And I also see that this image is quite small. That's because I forgot to make the resolution a little more detailed, a bigger resolution, so that these are kind of print-ready illustrations instead of illustrations that fit well on the screen, like this one. So that's a setting that I have made, so we can make illustrations like that, but this time I forgot to set that. So now I'm going to go up, and we can make kind of a quick run through of the images. So here we have the events ordered, but no clusters, or only one cluster. Then, oh, something happened. So this is unfortunate. That's just noise. So let's see. This is the same again. Next one. Here we split once. And then I split once more, and once more, and once more, and once. Oh, I unsplit. Yes, I decided to not split. So you see, I merged these, but the number goes up from 5 to 9. I didn't like the split I made, so I split differently, and now I split very small pieces, you see. And here we get all the whole history of how I gated or split up into clusters. Oops, and now what I did here is I said, okay, here I have the illustration for cluster 1, how that was split into smaller pieces. And it's pretty much the same, only we don't have all the things to the right. And then maybe I have something different. Yeah, for another cluster that I'm splitting. And I have illustrations for that. So every time I set heat map view, so in the other thing, how can I find it? Here, if I go to the settings and click for a new heat map tab, I will save all the images that are displayed in that tab until I close it. And the same would have happened if I opened a UMAP tab in the beginning. So here we have all the illustrations, and we can have a look at those tomorrow or anytime if we meet. So they're all here, and there's nothing really to do for me now. I have to make these images available, and then you can in ease and quiet have a look which of them do you like and what is happening every time we make the clustering a little bit finer. And then for your publication, you can pick out exactly the illustrations you think are appropriate. So there's lots of illustrations. So we're getting to the end of it. So these are I think these are the neutrophils. So CD3 is negative, but where's CD66? CD66, oh, I don't know what these are. Well, they are no, they're not CD66. What kind of cells are they? They are HLA-DR. There are not so many. Well, there are 20,000 of them. I don't understand this. This is not a population that I'm used to. It looks a little bit like B cells. Some of them are maybe B cells, and some of them are, let's see, CD11B. What are these called? Are they called monocytes? I don't know. I'm not a biologist. But here it's the same. Now we just split it up, and we split up more and more. And these over here in 112, it's kind of CD61, CD235AV, and then nothing else. I find that strange. And I even split that up to get the something and then the kind of empty piece over here. A little bit CD56. I know what CD56 is, but I cannot tell you. Yeah, and now these are the neutrophils. Here we got CD66. And they're also cut up into quite a lot of pieces. And we're ready to see, when the processing is done, how is the abundance of all of these clusters. I think there are like 70 clusters across the files. I will let this go on tomorrow. And so it's morning and the clustering is done, and I have heat maps of abundances of clusters in the different files. So I want to say that these abundances, I have made a formula here, you can watch it, for how the image is constructed, but it's made so that I have compensated for the number of events in the individual files, so that's kind of taken care of. And then I've done some more stuff to make it easy to see the variation. So here are the images. They're pretty big, so I've saved them so they can be accessed besides this video. And well, we'll take a look at them. And well, here are only some of the clusters. I have made 2 heat maps because otherwise I would not be able to see the names of the labels here. These are the cluster identities. And I want to do something. Oh, this cluster, that's special, but maybe it's not so interesting. We see there's something specific for 20 and 22 all the way up. I want to take something that is more like this changing color along the groups of samples, and I think the one I want to dig into is just to do one, is number 23. We can do as many as we like. So 23 is having a transition here. Maybe you can say 123 and also the next one that seems similar, 27, and see what is special about them. And what I can do is I can say I want to look at the clusters from 23 to 27 and see how do they look. And there was one between 25 that did not make this distinction between the groups. And we can look what is the difference between 23, 25 and 27. So CD7 is there, CD45RA. I don't know what this one is, 138DI. Maybe, I don't know what's in those channels. What else can we see? We can see CD56, we can see Tibet, CD161. And what is the distinction between them? Well, there's something crazy here with CD25, but that's inside cluster 23, so perhaps we want to actually cut that out of cluster 23. But what's the difference between 23 and 25? Well, it seems to be stat 1 and stat 3. They are higher in cluster 23 and 27 than in cluster 25. So it seems that what is distinguishing the stim and unstim is the stat expression. And now we have made a cutoff so that in 23 we get the ones with pretty high stat expression, and 25 we don't get many with high stat expression. And that then leads to the, where was I? To the phenomenon that in 23 and 25 we are low in the unstim. 23 and 25 low in unstim. So 23 and 27, 25 is also low in some, but not, yeah, I don't know. 25 is different. And then they become high, but 25 does not become high when they're stimulated. So that was just one cluster. So CD56 was kind of one of the markers I have an understanding about. This means these are natural killer cells, and there is no CD3, so they're not T cells. CD19, well, they look a little bit like B cells, but not quite. It's only this part that is sticking out in the one cluster, 23, that also has CD25. Okay, and that's it. Have fun with the illustrations.